slumped shoulders, bent knees and fallen arches. Imagine a wire fixed to the top of your head, pulling you upwards all the time.
All my life, and I'm guessing all of yours, you've been told to stand up straight. The book-balancing head, the straight back, this American posture panic ranged from glitzy pageants to objective methods of grading posture.
Even the smallest child, it needs to learn good posture habit.
It caused national scandals with secret photographs of society's most elite members. Posture became a pseudoscientific obsession.
Your posture is your problem.
During this video, I want to tell you about one guy who typifies the American posture story. This guy, Dr. William H. Sheldon. Throughout the 20th century, he classified people into categories, and along the way, he created a scandal that exposed American elites. I think that the American posture panic, a freakout over the way that people held their bodies, can be viewed as a reaction to three big changes that were going on: mankind, machines, and manners. And this guy, William H. Sheldon, is a through line through all of them. I learned about him through Beth Linker's book.
I'm Beth Linker. I'm the author of Slouch, Posture Panic in Modern America. I come to this book as a former physical therapist and also as a trained historian at the University of Pennsylvania, where I teach.
Sheldon was obsessed with three types of people: the endomorph, think a dad bod; the mesomorph, think a gym bro; and the ectomorph, a nerd. So next time you want to insult me, just call me an ectomorphic endomorph.
What kind of theory does this talk about and present, and how did it end up getting used?
Basically, what he starts to do is to develop a system of biotyping that will tell you what a person's psychological makeup is by just looking at their body type.
In his influential 1954 book, Atlas of Men, he graphed hundreds of body types on this guitar pick looking thing, a somatotype. It was a spectrum upon which every body, male and female, was supposed to fit. And for each number, like mesomorphic endomorph 154, he had an elaborate description and nude pictures, which I've censored in this video. I want you to imagine how you would feel being plotted on this guitar pick and how this content became fodder for Life magazine alongside Tide ads and cover stories about Janet Leigh. So I've long used magazines and newspapers as a sort of shorthand for where the culture is at a certain point in history. But how do you find out where the culture is like today, like right now? And fortunately, I have an answer to that question in a world where you have to start with this. Morning Brew is this video's sponsor, and I am so psyched to talk about them. I am a no social media on the phone guy, but I still need a starting point when I'm groggy and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And my go-to has become the Morning Brew newsletter. Now, you might know them from their YouTube channels. I think that's maybe how I discovered them, but I've since learned that their newsletter has the same sensibility. It is funny and really informative, and it doesn't take long to read it all. In 5 minutes, I've got a great update on what has happened in the course of the day. For example, in today's newsletter, I had heard a little bit about the deal between OpenAI and AMD, but it all just kind of washed over me in the social media feeds. Well, Morning Brew had a great synopsis of exactly what happened, and I think I finally understand the deal that went down and, some of its implications for the future. So they've got 4 million professionals who subscribe to this, and I want to encourage you to sign up. It is absolutely free, and it takes less than 15 seconds to sign up. You can do it via the link that is in my description or use the QR code that I've got on screen. And hopefully you'll be with me tomorrow, waking up with Morning Brew and having a clarifying start to your day. Thanks to them for supporting this video.
I'm going to have good posture. You just wait and see.
Studying the human form is as old as humans, but the American posture story is darker. A bizarre thing happened as the Darwinian theory of evolution became mainstream in the late 1800s. People wanted to use it not just to categorize species, but to try to divide up people.
What kind of stuff is kicking this off?
Most people know this story, of natural selection and Darwinian evolution. But for me and my purposes, what is unique to Darwin is that he argues that the stage of human evolution, stages happen in certain ways, and human uprightness precedes or happens before cranial development.
I want to compare two popular images that showed this shift, a phrenological chart and something that came much later, the March of Progress. These are both reflections of popular conceptions, not science, but they show how opinions changed. In the early to mid-1800s, phrenology was the idea that head shape could determine psychology. Now look at March of Progress. In a way, this is a story about posture.
I never would have made the connection that Homo erectus would have had some sort of political valence to it almost.
I think phrenology moves to then reading the body. I sometimes would, early in this project, I would say, oh, this is phrenology from the neck down. Just, you'd have like the cranial lines and everything, like all this like racialized theories just based on facial lines, but then it becomes like a postural line. So the rest of the body becomes more important than just the cranium and the head.
So for Sheldon and others, body shape and posture became a new type of phrenology, a morphological zoo. Each of his somatotypes were paired with these bizarre animal descriptions that were supposed to match with certain bodies: great owls, walking sticks, mosquitoes, and dogs. This justification is also what he used to record the body types of hundreds of delinquent youth housed here in the 1940s. He conducted biologically oriented psychology. 200 youths photographed nude for his invented science because body type and posture were believed to control psychology. Posture was recorded as a subset of temperament. This anxiety about evolution, it paired with an anxiety about mechanization.
A plumb line dropped from the ear should pass through the shoulder, hip, knee, and ankle joints.
There is this obsession that comes up with the plumb line over and over again.
Yeah, the plumb line is what you have are theorists saying, well, the human body, which mimics a machine, should also be in plumb line verticality in order for it to operate most efficiently.
So there is an element here that starts to look at posture as a way to control people the same way that machines can be controlled. This device used at Wellesley is a thoracimeter, which was meant to create incredibly accurate posture measurements. Many used photography as a way to measure and to keep records of student postures. You can see here that posture photographs would be inserted into a grading rubric and then assigned values for correctness. Scores, or grades, were based on a panel of judges' evaluations. Once people were diagnosed with posture problems, they wanted solutions, and this motivated both public and private institutions to offer those solutions, either for what they considered to be the public good or to make money.
I start with the American Posture League. A bunch of concerned medical and health professionals join this American Posture League in order to get out the information about how many Americans suffer bad posture, and also a kind of publicity campaign trying to convince people that if they take care of their posture and try to have better posture, they will be able to prevent themselves from getting more deadly diseases. The consumer marketplace, which is kind of burgeoning at this time in between the two world wars, sees an opportunity, as the commercial marketplace does. Corset industry, which would have, I think, gone to the wayside, is like, oh, this is our chance. Comfort shoes is another market that industry that's like, this is perfect for us. We will have posture right shoes.
So you can see how this changing view of machines encouraged good posture as a form of social control, and that extended to manners as well. College enrollment exploded in the 20th century. The same was true of public education. Schools were figuring out what their role was in caring for students.
Many, many universities had mandatory posture exams.
What was the intended application of these photos down the line?
Partly for physical educators to have a research agenda about schools showing that higher education was not going to be bad for these students' health. For women especially, it was to train them to have perfect posture so that they would go out into polite society and look like a Smith girl.
You know, what was the schedule?
Yeah, so they would be taken as soon as you come in, you're freshman.
Yeah.
Depending on the university or the college, it would usually be at the end of the freshman year. So if you came in to, say, Yale, you would have stripped naked, had a photo taken. If there was any deviation, if you were kind of like slumpy or slouchy, you would have to go into remedial exercises.
At the University of Oregon, you would enter, proceed to the dressing booth, be weighed, and then stand at 3 angles on a pedestal, nude. At Columbia, it looked similar. Undress, pedestal, camera booth. Thanks to Sheldon, but also other advocates of this posture measurement, these posture photographs became ubiquitous at elite American universities. But this equation of literal uprightness with moral uprightness was not limited to colleges. These pictures from a chiropractic posture pageant are a great example of how commercial interests intersected with supposed health interests. This pamphlet from the American Posture League shows their moral bent philosophy. Which are you? Are you a rounded question mark, ungraceful, lacking vim, or a living exclamation point, alert, courageous, trim? So you can see by now that this soup of misunderstood science, paranoia about mechanization, and attempts to develop manners created situations in which thousands of college students at elite universities were photographed nude, and their photos were stored without their consent.
Was the putative reason for the total nudity so that you could actually, like, see the vertebrae and stuff like that?
Their justification was to look more clinical.
Okay.
But I think we can understand that that also is a power dynamic.
In 1995, William Sheldon's work was exposed by a New York Times article that revealed that dozens of colleges and universities had caches of posture photographs. The photographs were destroyed, but I think the legacy, the way that we talk about posture, even today, it remains.
Well, what's wrong with us?
Your posture.
Let me address the posture lovers. I could have put this at the beginning of the video, but I think it is valid to have some positive feelings toward posture. I mean, I made this video because I'm on camera a lot, and I would see shots where I was shuffling away from the camera, and I looked like Robert De Niro in The Irishman. And I was like, why is my posture so bad? And where did this idea of good posture even come from? I've also experienced back pain in my life, and that back pain has been helped by sitting better, stretching, doing all sorts of therapies to improve my posture. I do think that good posture looks nice, just like they did 100 years ago. But that said, the panic exploded as a way to cope with social change and a way to box in people. Sheldon had another strange hobby. He was a respected coin collector. Here's a book that he wrote all about it. He could collect pieces of metal and categorize them. Good ones, bad ones. But people aren't coins.
I'm not down on people who really want to think about their posture and who find it aesthetically more pleasing and who go to yoga and who buy their ergonomic chairs. I'm not down on any of that. It's just that I'm bringing to bear a question about, first of all, what we think it's doing. What work does good posture do? And if we're thinking that it's going to be the cure-all fix for some kind of pain-free life, I think that the evidence is very thin to non-existent on that. And then if we think it makes us better people, why do we think that is? And I want to just ask what do we think then of the people who, through no fault of their own, cannot adopt this aesthetic with their body?
All right, that's it for this one. Thank you for watching. I do encourage you to read Slouch. It's a fascinating look at posture in America, and it's got a lot of stuff that I wasn't able to include in this video. So thank you to her for talking to me, and go ahead and check out that book. Over on Patreon, I let you know for free when a new video comes out, and I also get into something that I couldn't get into in the video. And this time, I want to talk a little bit about the role of photography in encouraging this posture trend, because I couldn't get into it in the video here. But I'd love to learn what you think. Do you think that posture has a lot of value? Do you think that it has an unearned moral side to it? I think that there's room to kind of meet somewhere in the middle where posture actually can make you look better, can make you feel better, but it's unfair and it's still talked about in this moralistic way that is really unfair. So yeah, I'm curious what you think about it. Yeah, that's it for this one.